Narendra Modi virtually addressed the G7 summit on Saturday and gave the world a new mantra of One Earth, One Health. Now, the Prime Minister also spoke to all leaders about precautions that the world needs to put in place to beat future pandemics. The Prime Minister is, of course, scheduled to address two meetings today at the G7.
Prime Minister Modi attended a virtual outreach session at the G7 Leaders Summit. A session focused on global recovery from the coronavirus pandemic and measures to prevent future pandemics. Prime Minister expressed appreciation for the support extended by the G7 and other guest countries during the recent wave of COVID infections in India. Sending out a message of One Earth, One Health at the virtual outreach session, the Prime Minister made a subtle hint at China, urging for transparent societies to combat future pandemics, conveying India's willingness to share its vaccine expertise and experience. The Prime Minister reiterated India's commitment towards global health endeavours, while urging for support for the TRIPS waiver at the G7 summit. India emphasised countries to keep the supply chain of vaccine raw materials open. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and even French President Emmanuel Macron backed the TRIPS waiver, with Macron urging global nations to share their vaccine raw materials. Although not a G7 member, Prime Minister Modi was invited to the UK-hosted summit by Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor now joins me on the phone line. Good morning, Abhishek. Abhishek, the Prime Minister, of course, gave the world a new mantra yesterday of One World, One Health, and he is slated to attend two sessions today. Give us more details about, what we're expecting at the G7 today.
Well, Nupur, good morning. And in fact, I can see a subtext of political messaging in what Prime Minister has said. When he says One World, One Health, essentially what he means is that the world has to cooperate. And, for example, the instances of vaccine hoarding we have seen, that should not have happened. The manner in which, for example, raw materials did not come, that should not have happened. Also, for example, the manner in which WHO conducted itself vis-a-vis China, that should not have happened. So I think Prime Minister has given a very broad message to the most powerful grouping, so to say, of the developed world, where he's saying that the approach could have been different, should have been different. He has given example of vaccine management that has been done by India, both internally in terms of we becoming highest vaccinating nation in terms of absolute numbers, and of course, initially, the manner in which we collaborated with the rest of the world and, in fact, went on to share our resources, despite the fact that we ourselves had meager resources, we still went on and shared the vaccines through the Vaccine Maitri program. Also, of course, he emphasized that supply chains have to be kept open so far as vaccine raw materials and components are concerned. This is not the first time Prime Minister has spoken. He has, for example, earlier spoken about digital transformation and how it has impacted great mass of humanity in India during the Biarritz summit in 2019, I believe. In 2020, of course, because of the pandemic, Prime Minister could not participate. This is his third G7 participation. And he is expected to make two very important interventions today also, including one on green energy and climate change.